Anna wearily entered her apartment, dropping her bag by the door. The workday, like so many before it, had been exhausting. She sank onto the couch, her gaze falling on the wall, and sighed. Another day in the endless chain of dull, gray routines. Seeking a moment of distraction, she decided to make herself some tea. As the kettle began to boil, Anna felt a sudden urge to step outside. Throwing on her coat, she left the house and wandered through the city streets in the cool evening air. The crisp autumn breeze seemed to clear her mind as she walked aimlessly, her feet carrying her toward a small sign. Antique shop. Without hesitation, Anna stepped inside. The soft chime of a bell rang as she crossed the threshold. Inside, the shop was suffused with the scent of age and mystery. The shelves were lined with an array of items: antique books, figurines, clocks. Anna's attention was captured by one object, a large mirror with an ornate wooden frame. She approached it, captivated by its beauty. The mirror's surface was impeccably smooth, and the frame was adorned with delicate carvings. While Anna admired the craftsmanship, an elderly man appeared from behind the counter. "It has chosen you," he said with a faint smile. Startled, Anna turned to him. "What do you mean?" The old man stepped closer, his expression thoughtful. "This is no ordinary mirror. It can reveal more than you expect. But be careful, sometimes what we see isn't what we want." "That sounds rather cryptic," Anna replied with a frown. "But I want it. How much is it?" The old man paused as if weighing his words before naming a price. Without hesitation, Anna handed over the money. As he passed the mirror to her, he quietly added, "Remember, this mirror reflects not only the outer world but the inner one as well, and the truth isn't always easy to face." Back home, Anna placed the mirror in her living room. She spent a long time gazing at it, admiring its intricate craftsmanship. But then she thought she saw something flicker in the glass. Moving closer, she stared intently, but there was nothing there. Over the next few days, Anna found herself drawn to the mirror more and more. It pulled at her like a magnet. One evening, she saw a man in a dark coat reflected in the mirror. He stood there staring into the distance. Whirling around, Anna found the room empty. When she turned back to the mirror, the man was gone. The next day, on her way to work, Anna spotted the same man on the street. He walked past her without a glance, but Anna froze, unable to move. Was it a coincidence? Or was the mirror showing her something more than mere reflections? Later that evening, back in her apartment, Anna looked into the mirror again. This time, she saw her colleagues. They stood in a group, laughing and talking. Moments later, the image vanished. Curious, Anna checked her phone and found a video her colleagues had uploaded. It was a light-hearted joke at her expense. They had been laughing behind her back. Panic surged through Anna. Her thoughts raced in confusion. She tried to convince herself it was all a coincidence, but an insistent voice inside told her otherwise. The mirror was something more. With every glance into its surface, she felt the boundaries between reality and reflection begin to blur. Now, she couldn't shake the feeling that the mirror wasn't just an object. It was something far more profound, and it was going to change her life. Whether for better or worse, Anna wasn't sure. Anna woke up to the morning light streaming through her window, yet she felt as though the night had never ended. The strange visions in the mirror and the shadowy figure of that man lingered in her thoughts. Memories of the previous day's events unsettled her, but she forced herself to prepare for work. Upon arriving at the office, Anna sat at her desk attempting to focus on her routine tasks. Yet her thoughts were consumed by one thing: the mirror and the enigmatic man. Her eyes wandered to a small mirror on her desk, but for some reason, she avoided her own reflection. turning away quickly. By midday, gazing out the window, she spotted the same man again. This time, he was standing in front of the building as if waiting for someone. Driven by a sudden, unexplainable courage, Anna hurried downstairs and stepped outside. The man was already walking away. Without thinking, she decided to follow him. "Excuse me, may I ask you something?" she called out hesitantly. The man stopped, turned around, and looked at her with a calm but piercing gaze. "Yes," he replied, his voice steady and deep. Have I seen you somewhere before?" Anna asked, uncertainty evident in her tone. The man's expression softened into what could almost be described as a faint smile. "Perhaps, Anna, but only you truly know the answer to that." Anna froze, bewildered. "You know my name?" The man inclined his head slightly. "You are Anna. My name is Levin. Remember it. Our paths will cross again." Anna stood there, stunned. "But how do you—" Levin interrupted her. "You have many questions, but the answers will come in time. Use the mirror wisely, Anna. It does not merely reflect, it reveals." Without offering further explanation, Levin turned and walked away. Anna wanted to run after him, but her feet felt rooted to the ground. It was as if she were trapped in a waking dream. That evening, back home, Anna tried to resist the pull of the mirror, but an inexplicable force drew her toward it. Summoning her courage, she approached. This time, beyond her reflection, she saw something more. In the depths of the mirror, the silhouette of Levin reappeared. He moved his hand as if speaking, but no sound reached her ears. Anna stood motionless, the silence around her growing heavier. The mirror wasn't just a window to another world. It was a portal to something far more profound and far more dangerous. Anna finally gave in to exhaustion and lay down on her bed. Even as she closed her eyes, the silhouette of Levin and the dark depths of the mirror haunted her thoughts. Slipping into restless dreams, she couldn't recall when sleep finally took over. The next morning, arriving at work, Anna immediately noticed something unusual in the office. The air felt heavy with tension. Her colleagues looked weary, moving sluggishly. Quiet whispers passed between them, hinting at something serious. At her desk, Anna caught sight of Maxime in his usual dark brown suit, moving confidently across the room. His self-assured demeanor irritated her, as their interactions in recent weeks had been nothing but a string of disagreements and subtle power struggles. Later in the morning, Maxime approached her desk with a stack of papers. His voice carried a sharp edge of frustration. "Anna, these documents have errors again. Check them over and do it right this time." He dropped the papers on her desk with an air of finality. Anna inhaled deeply, trying to maintain her composure. "Maxim, you didn't send me the corrected version. The errors were already in the file I received." His brow furrowed, and he leaned closer, his tone cutting. "So now it's my fault? If you did your job properly, there wouldn't be any issues." The office fell silent as coworkers pretended not to listen. Anna felt her irritation boiling over, but responded calmly. "Maybe if you gave clearer instructions, we wouldn't have these problems. I'm tired of fixing your mistakes." Maxime's jaw tightened as he slammed the papers back onto her desk. "Don't you dare speak to me like that, Anna. I give the tasks, you complete them, that's all." Anna stood, meeting his gaze steadily. Her voice was low and controlled. "Fine. You'll get what you want." Inside, however, she burned with anger. That evening, back home, Anna felt the weight of the day pressing down on her. The moment she stepped into her apartment, she sensed a strange coldness in the air. Switching on the lights did little to dispel the unease. She stopped in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection. She didn't want to talk to it, but something deep inside compelled her. Her emotions from the day bubbled to the surface. "I can't take it anymore," she burst out. "Maxim belittles me, disrespects me. All I want is a normal day at work, but he makes my life unbearable." The mirror's surface began to shift. A faint, eerie glow emerged as it responded to her outburst. She froze as Levin's silhouette appeared once more, his figure distinct in the darkened glass. His voice was calm but deeply resonant. "You seek justice, Anna." She hesitated. The weight of his question hung in the air. "Yes, I want justice. I just want to be respected." Levin tilted his head slightly, a faint smile touching his lips. "Justice sometimes requires sacrifice. Are you willing to accept that?" Anna leaned closer to the mirror, searching his expression for meaning. "What do I have to do?" Levin's response was simple, yet chilling. "Just observe." With that, he disappeared. The mirror's surface returned to its ordinary state, leaving Anna shaken but oddly relieved. For the first time, she felt a strange sense of control. The following morning at work, the tension in the office was thicker than ever. Colleagues barely spoke, their expressions tense and guarded. Olga, a coworker, passed by Anna's desk and whispered, "Did you hear about Maxim?" Anna looked up, alarmed. "What happened?" Olga hesitated before replying in a hushed tone. "They found him this morning. Someone cut out his tongue." Anna's breath caught in her throat. Levin's words from the night before echoed in her mind. "Just observe." She forced a faint smile, masking her shock. "That's unbelievable." Olga moved away, leaving Anna alone with her thoughts. The entire day, she couldn't shake the sense of unease. That evening, standing before the mirror again, Anna stared at its still surface. She whispered, "Levin, what did you do?" The mirror remained silent, but Anna couldn't escape the feeling that it was far from ordinary, and neither was Levin. Anna stood frozen in front of the mirror, her breathing shallow and uneven. She wanted to see nothing but her own reflection. Yet, there he was again. Levin. His voice pierced the silence, steady and cold. Maxim was guilty, yes, but he wasn't the only one. What he took from you pales in comparison to what others have done. Now, I'll remind you of the true culprits. Anna stepped back, her heart racing. Levin's words weren't just sounds. They seemed to etch themselves into her consciousness. He continued, his tone relentless. "Artem, Alina, they betrayed you, humiliated you, and destroyed you. They used your vulnerability to pave their own paths, and yet you did nothing in return. You should have named them instead of Maxim." Her voice broke into a scream, filled with desperation and anger. "Stop it. They're in the past. I won't hurt them." But Levin's words had already unlocked the doors to her darkest memories. Images of Artem and Alina surged forward, their betrayal, the pain they inflicted. Anna had tried so hard to bury it all, but Levin seemed determined to drag it out from the deepest corners of her mind. The next morning, Anna woke up feeling utterly drained. Her limbs were heavy, her head pounding as if she hadn't rested at all. Something had happened during the night, but she couldn't remember what. She decided not to go to work. Picking up her phone, she called her boss, her voice faint. "I'm not feeling well today. I need to stay home." Hanging up, she avoided looking at the mirror. The thought of Levin's presence sent shivers down her spine. In the afternoon, her phone rang. It was her close friend Irina. The urgency in her voice was unmistakable. "Anna, something terrible has happened. Artem and Alina. They were found this morning. drowned in their pool. Anna froze, the phone slipping from her hands. Irina's words echoed in her mind, drowned in their pool. The phrase repeated over and over, mingling with Levin's chilling words from the night before. That evening, unable to resist, Anna approached the mirror again. Levin's reflection greeted her with a faint, twisted smile, a smile that was both unsettling and horrifying. His voice was calm, almost mocking. "Do you see now? They're no longer your burden. I'm here to free you, Anna, but this is just the beginning." Her voice cracked as she yelled, a mix of denial and fear. "It wasn't me. I didn't touch them. You're messing with my mind. I had nothing to do with this." Levin tilted his head slightly, his smirk deepening as his tone softened. "I'm telling you this to help you accept the truth. But deep down, you already know everything happened exactly as it was meant to." These words echoed relentlessly in her mind. Anna couldn't discern what was true and what wasn't. Her reality grew increasingly fragile, as if Levin was deliberately erasing the line between the real world and her thoughts. Despite her exhaustion, Anna gathered her strength and went to work. The office seemed the same as always, yet her arrival stirred whispers among her colleagues. After a while, Irina approached her, looking flustered. "Anna, Maxim has come out of his coma. Everything is going to be fine now." At first, Anna felt a wave of relief wash over her. But deep inside, a gnawing sense of unease remained. She wanted to ask more about Maxim's condition, but suddenly, 2 police officers entered the office. Their stern expressions and unwavering gazes silenced everyone. One of them walked directly to Anna's desk and spoke firmly. "Anna Ivanovna, you are under arrest." A heavy silence fell over the office. Anna froze, unable to process what was happening. "What, me? But why?" The officer responded calmly but with authority. "You are suspected of endangering the life and attempting to murder Maxim Ivanov." Anna stumbled backward, feeling the weight of everyone's stares. "This must be a mistake. I didn't do anything to Maxim." The officer's tone didn't change. "You'll have the opportunity to discuss the details in court. Please come with us." The cold click of handcuffs broke the oppressive silence. Her colleagues stood frozen in shock, their gazes filled with confusion and fear. Irina stepped back, her eyes glistening with regret and disbelief. As Anna was led out of the office, a chillingly familiar voice echoed in her mind, sharp and mocking. "I told you, this is exactly how it would happen." Anna sat in the dim confines of the police station, utterly lost and disoriented. She couldn't understand how she had ended up here. Across the room, officers glanced at her occasionally, jotting down notes, but none approached her. She stared blankly ahead, her thoughts spiraling into confusion. What is happening? How did this all start? After what felt like an eternity, a door opened, and a police officer walked in, gesturing toward the woman beside him. The woman was calm, professional, and radiated quiet authority. She introduced herself as a psychiatrist, Dr. Irina Telnova. Dr. Telnova sat across from Anna, her expression serious but understanding. "Anna, I understand how overwhelming this must feel. My job is to help you and make sense of the situation, but for that, I need you to be open and honest with me." Anna exhaled slowly, her anxiety easing just slightly, though confusion still clouded her mind. Dr. Telnova gave her a moment before continuing. "Tell me, Anna, in your own words, do you think these events are connected to you? Or do you believe they're purely coincidental?" Anna lowered her gaze to the table, her voice barely a whisper. I don't know. I don't understand any of this." She sat there, searching desperately for answers, but none came. Her thoughts swirled, tangled in questions she couldn't untangle. Dr. Telnova pulled out her phone and glanced at the screen. Her tone was calm but probing. "Maxim, your ex-boyfriend, and Alina." She paused deliberately before continuing, her voice softening just slightly. "Can you tell me what you did to them?" As she turned the phone toward Anna, 2 images appeared on the screen. Maxim and Alina. The sight of their faces sent a shiver down Anna's spine. Her hands trembled as she struggled to recall the moment, but her memories were fragmented, blurred. Dr. Telnova leaned forward, her voice firm yet steady. "These people are dead, but we're here to show you how you saw them. Our goal is to understand what really happened and how you're connected to these events. For that, Anna, you need to be honest." The weight of those words bore down on Anna's chest. She tried to speak, but the words caught in her throat. How could she bear this burden? She didn't even know what was true anymore, as the line between past and present seemed to dissolve. Anna sank deeper into the chair across from Dr. Telnova. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking, and her head throbbed with an unrelenting storm of thoughts. It was too much to process, too surreal to believe. Dr. Telnova studied her with a mixture of caution and empathy. She could see the anguish in Anna's face, the struggle in her trembling frame. Her voice softened, but her words carried a quiet determination. "We'll work through this together, Anna. I know it's hard, but we need to start piecing things together. It's the only way forward." Anna closed her eyes tightly and clenched her fists, trying to focus. She reached into the fog of her mind, searching desperately for clarity. But all she could find was an empty haze, a void where answers should have been. She saw flashes of Maxim, Alina, and no. She shook her head violently. "No, I couldn't have been involved in their deaths. Could I?" Dr. Telnova took a measured breath, maintaining her composure. She unlocked her phone again and showed Anna a series of photographs. This time, the images were different. Crime scene photos. Anna flinched, her breath hitching as she recoiled. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "What is this?" Dr. Telnova's voice dropped to a whisper, her tone deliberate but kind. "These are your friends, Anna. These are images from the scene of their deaths. Do you understand what happened?" Anna forced herself to look at the photos. Each image sent another shockwave through her. The lifeless bodies of Maxim and Alina stared back at her, frozen in time. She couldn't breathe. I don't know. I can't." Her voice trailed off into silence. "Why don't I remember? I didn't do this. I couldn't have." Dr. Telnova exhaled slowly, her expression calm, but her eyes focused intently on Anna. Her voice remained steady. "Let's take this step by step, Anna. We'll uncover the truth together, but you need to start by trusting yourself and being willing to explore what happened." Anna sat in silence, her mind racing, unable to comprehend the enormity of what she was being told. The fog in her mind thickened, but beneath it, she felt a flicker of something. Fear, guilt, or perhaps a buried truth waiting to surface. "You know, Anna, our memory can be unreliable, especially when faced with trauma," Dr. Telnova said gently. "Your mind might have suppressed these memories to protect you, but we will try to uncover what truly happened." Anna sat in silence, her sense of reality slipping away. How had her life come to this horrifying conclusion? How could she possibly be part of this nightmare? Dr. Telnova paused, letting the weight of her words settle before adding, We will work together to help you understand yourself, Anna. You may need to confront painful memories, but I believe you have the strength to do it." Anna nodded faintly, her thoughts spiraling. Everything felt alien and absurd, yet a strange unease began to stir inside her, a gnawing sensation that perhaps, just perhaps, she was somehow a part of this dreadful event. Dr. Telnova observed Anna intently, her sharp gaze tempered with empathy. Adjusting her glasses, she spoke in a measured, professional tone. "Anna," she began softly, "you've mentioned a man named Levin several times. Can you tell me more about him?" Anna's hands gripped her knees nervously, her voice trembling as she replied, "Levin, I don't know. He's always there, in my life, in my thoughts, in my dreams. It's like he knows everything, what's happening, what I'm thinking." Dr. Telnova nodded thoughtfully, jotting down notes on her tablet. Her expression remained neutral, though contemplative. "And what does he say to you?" she asked gently, urging Anna to elaborate. Anna hesitated, her mind replaying Levin's words over and over like a haunting echo. He says things that make me think he knows the truth. The truth about Max, about Alina. He makes me believe I've done something terrible." Dr. Telnova paused, her expression turning more serious. She saw not just confusion and anxiety in Anna's eyes, but something deeper. This wasn't just guilt, it was something more profound, something tied to Anna's fractured perception of reality. "I think," Telnova began slowly, "that Levin may be a manifestation of deeper psychological challenges you're facing. He could represent an aspect of your internal struggle, a fracture in your sense of reality." Anna's face went pale, her eyes widening with confusion and fear. She began to speak, her voice quiet yet resolute. "I can't explain what's happening to me. I don't know what's real and what isn't anymore. It's like reality is slipping away, and Levin, it's as if he's controlling all of it. But it can't just be in my head. It can't." Dr. Telnova's gaze softened, though a glimmer of concern remained in her eyes. She exhaled lightly and said, "It's possible, Anna. Your experiences, your struggle with reality, they could stem from deep psychological trauma and stress. We need to continue exploring ways to help you, but to do that, we must learn to distinguish where reality ends and your inner experiences begin." Anna remained silent, her thoughts a chaotic blur. Somewhere, deep within the fog, Levin's shadow loomed, entwined with truths she wasn't ready to face, or even remember. Dr. Telnova looked closely at the mirror, but all she could see was Anna's reflection. Dr. Telnova, "Anna, I only see your reflection. Are you sure he's there?" Anna, struggling to breathe, pointed at the mirror with a trembling finger. "Anna, you don't understand. It's him. He made me watch everything happen, but I didn't do anything. I just—" Her voice broke, and she covered her face with her hands. Dr. Telnova remained calm, jotting down more notes. Dr. Telnova, "Anna, please sit down. I'm here to help you. No one else sees Levin but you. Are you sure he's real?" Anna, as if not hearing the question, stared at the mirror again. "Anna, real? I don't know, but he's there, I see him." Telnova nodded softly, then called for security. 2 officers entered the room. "Dr. Telnova, we're done here, gentlemen. You can escort her out." Anna looked at them in panic, but her gaze quickly returned to the mirror. "Anna, he's smiling again. Why don't you believe me?" The officers gently lifted Anna from her seat and began leading her out of the room. As she turned back to the mirror, she thought she saw Levin wink at her before the door closed behind her. The events that unfolded weren't as Anna remembered. or as she wished to remember. It all began on that fateful evening when Anna invited Maxim to meet her at a small, cozy cafe. She had carefully chosen a quiet spot where they wouldn't be disturbed. Maxim arrived on time, as he always did. His smile seemed genuine, but Anna sensed something else in it, something that made her chest tighten. She ordered 2 cocktails, pretending it was just an ordinary friendly meeting. When the drinks arrived, Anna, skillfully distracting Maxim with conversation, discreetly added a potent substance to his glass. She knew it would make him feel weak and dizzy. After a short while, Maxim began feeling unwell. His head was spinning, and his eyes struggled to focus. The waitstaff, noticing his condition, assumed he had simply had too much to drink. At Anna's request, they helped him out of the cafe and into her car. Anna drove in silence, avoiding looking at Maxim, who sat slumped in the passenger seat, barely able to lift his head. She was taking him to the forest, to an old hunting cabin, long abandoned and desolate. When they arrived, Anna struggled to drag Maxim out of the car and into the cabin. The air inside was cold and damp, filled with the stench of rot and mildew. She sat him down on a chair, tightly binding his hands and feet. Maxim, barely conscious, tried to speak, but his words were incoherent. Anna stepped closer, her gaze cold and empty. She pulled out a knife she had prepared in advance. Without hesitation, she severed his tongue, leaving him in agonizing silence. Maxim tried to scream, but only blood and ragged gasps escaped his lips. Alina and Artem met their fate differently. That evening, Anna picked up the phone and called Alina. Her voice was surprisingly calm and friendly. "Alina, I think it's time to put our grudges and disagreements behind us. I've forgiven you and would like to discuss everything in person. I think it would benefit all of us." Alina was overjoyed to hear those words. She called out to her husband, Artem. "Anna wants to come over. She says she wants to make peace. This is a great opportunity to clear the air." Alina and Artem invited Anna for dinner. That was exactly what Anna had been waiting for. Her plan was already in motion. Alina and Artem's home was a luxurious mansion, with high ceilings, marble floors, and large windows that filled the space with light. Outside, a grand swimming pool caught the eye, surrounded by decorative lights that reflected off the water's surface. When Anna arrived, Alina greeted her warmly. The table was already set, but Alina suggested they add tea to complete the meal. Smiling, Anna offered to help and joined Alina in the kitchen. In the kitchen, as Alina prepared the tea, Anna quickly pulled a small vial from her pocket. She poured its contents into the teapot. It was a potent drug designed to induce weakness and rapid drowsiness. When the tea was ready, they returned to the table together. Alina and Artem sipped their tea, unaware of Anna's watchful gaze fixed upon them. After a few minutes, both began to feel weak. Artem, struggling to comprehend what was happening, barely managed to utter a word before collapsing onto the floor. Alina, too, lost her strength and fell shortly after. Anna stood over their motionless bodies. She took a deep breath, her expression calm. Then, without hesitation, she began dragging them towards the pool. Artem's body was heavy, but Anna's determination fueled her strength. She pushed him into the pool first, watching as his lifeless form splashed into the water. Next, she dragged Alina and did the same. Both were now in the water, unconscious and unable to save themselves. Anna stood there quietly observing as their bodies weakly bobbed on the surface. For a few moments, she watched their helpless struggle before turning away. With calculated composure, Anna walked away from the pool, exited the house, and disappeared into the night. Look at how anger, revenge, and ego can drive a person to commit horrifying acts, leaving deep psychological scars in their wake. Remember to learn the art of forgiveness for the injustices done to you. Life is a boomerang. Every act of evil eventually returns to the one who committed it. But you forgive. Sooner or later, the guilty will face their punishment. Forgiveness, however, will free you and bring true relief.